Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to another episode of Shapes.io. We're going to go ahead and continue where we left off in the last one. So we have started moving to what I've seen people refer to as the rocket shape, which, I totally understand being the case. So let's see, what do we got going so far? So we started making these boys right here. That's working totally fine. So let's see, can probably upgrade how many of these are being made. So now, something that I've really enjoyed from looking at the speedruns is also the fact, or it has also been looking at like the different setups people do. So I think what we're gonna do is scrap this, and we're gonna mess around with it for a little bit. So when it comes to, let me actually build it this way because of the way that I'm used to building it. When it comes to the world record for this, the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So the current record holder does a setup like this, and it actually does a great job of keeping things well saturated. So I'm not going to complain about actually setting it up for myself. I think go ahead and at least try to give ourselves a little bit more access to some of the dye that's over here. Obviously, it'll get a little bit better once we end up getting the chain extractors. So if you're not familiar, the chain extractors, what they do is mm, that's gonna be fine. Why don't we route this around that, and then we can actually clear it out a little bit over. Um, but so sorry, what I was saying was that chain extractors, what you can do is you can actually funnel them into one another, and it makes things run faster, which ends up being pretty useful because then I can have all the inputs just into one lane, and if I wanted, I could have a lot more of these end up being uh yeah, we want to run that in through the top. Oh, wait a second, we're already messing things up. Oops, oops, oops. This will be for a painter setup, so you can. The first thing we need to do though is actually combine the dyes, which makes sense if you're just not being a big old dummy about it. You can actually, yeah, because I'll go like that. We'll bring things in through the top portion over here. Those will come like that. Go ahead and get one more of that going on. And it's just very interesting to just kind of watch like the general process when watching somebody who's actually like speed running it, because you constantly are having to move as fast as you possibly can and so on and so forth. You have to actually figure out what the best way to do a lot of things is and kind of go from there. Mm, so let's see here. So we need to get some cyan dye to go in through the top over here. Blow something that, that. And then we can bring the dye on over to our stars, start dyeing those the color that we want, and then we'll start making some progress with cutting and all that fun stuff. But like this setup honestly is one of my more favorite ones because yeah, it's about as packed as it can be, and it's super just kind of like simple and easy to build. Um, it's easy to replicate once you actually know what you're doing. Uh, because one of the biggest parts about actually doing any sort of run is learning how to do the different portions of everything and how to be able to do it quickly and efficiently and remember everything because it's a lot of a learning process kind of as well. But and actually, you know what? Since we have these unlocked, all we have to do is this little thing right here. Come up and go. We go ahead and get you set up and then just run it down like that. We'll run this through top over here. And there we go. So now we've got plenty of cyan stars kind of coming around. And then our next goal of business is going to be cutting them. What we'll do is bring that over here. That'll go like that. But we need this to be the bottom, so that needs to rotate like that. This needs to rotate the other way, and there we go. Easy as that. Already just have that sorted out. Bring that around one more. And we can easily replicate it however many times we need. Now, luckily, since we're creating two for the price of one, we don't need too many, which ends up working out pretty nicely for us. We do that. And go ahead and clear that out just in case, because you know it put a regular star in there. I do put that right there. That way it can all just be in one row. And so what do we need to do? We need to combine that with our little half circles over here. We'll go ahead and clear that out area. And we can actually do the same setup that we have here, but with switching this out for the stackers, we can actually just combine the two together and, have a good time with that. Here we want we'll bring this back up here. And we'll go ahead and bring that there. Actually, you know what? Let's change this direction. That way, if you want, you can add on however many in this row, and then still just funnel it all back in the same direction. I think that's one of the things I definitely enjoy about this or any style of game like this. I know I've talked about it a lot in the past if you've watched recent content, but um, everything's just kind of dependent upon how you want to do it. There's just something that's nice about that, about having that flexibility to, just move however you want, get things going the way you like it, and just kind of going from there. Now, I know it'll be a little bit before we actually get to where we want to be for checking out the new content. However, the hope is to be there, hopefully not too long, or before too much longer, I should say. I was like, what I'm hoping is maybe one, we won't mess up stuff like that, but maybe we'll be able to use some of the kind of tips and tricks and stuff like that that I picked up from playing or from trying to speed run the first little bit and actually apply it to, you know, the game moving forward. Because there's, like I said, there's a lot of interesting tidbits that I just kind of like learned from watching somebody who, got through these first 12 levels in half an hour, or sorry, 20, less than 20 minutes. Because the way that it's set up is it's blueprint percent. You go through all 12 levels from start to finish, and you unlock blueprints, and then you go from, or is like, and then that's when the timer actually ends. You'll see we've got a pretty good amount already, just kind of coming up from an easy setup. Took me very little time at all, and I was like, we're delivering for a second, which also means 240 a minute. And obviously, that's going to be where this belt caps out at. But being able to let it do its thing, and then about 5 minutes or so, it'll be ready for us to start making our uh, blueprint shape. And if we're lucky, we can find the blue base over here. What you can do is take this, stack everything together. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to rotate. So we need to rotate twice. That way it's in that top left corner. And then we can start doing whatever we want with this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dye it blue just out here. And honestly, from watching, I'm curious about how much the balancers really matter in this. Because, in Factorial, you want it to be balanced because it can make a very big difference. But I'm not sure how much of a difference it actually makes in this game. I was like, I would be curious, but because I don't really feel like it makes as much of a difference as it has before. Because in Factorio, like you constantly are wanting to balancing because lanes have two different sets of things. There's actually a lot more space to fill on a belt. Whereas I think at any given point, I think only a couple things are on one tile. So you may not even need to worry about balancing stuff like I've done in the past, which I think is interesting because, yeah, we'll do that. This will come on over here. Because in the past, I've done a lot of focus on like, oh, well, you want to, keep things like nice and balanced as much as possible. But if you don't need to, then, you can do kind of like a quick setup like this, have only one belt kind of doing its thing, and then, expand outwards until things can't quite keep up. But we'll see as we start getting upgrades and things start going faster, we'll kind of go from there. Because it's definitely just like a interesting thought. We just put down these. Cool. So we got the chain extractor, which means I will actually show that off in just a second. So now if we wanted, instead of having, this, we could actually take advantage of the full thing. And then we pretty much would never need to worry about messing around with this. But you know what, that's gonna just kind of do its thing and come over here. And if we wanted, what we could do is something like that. It's interesting because it does hard cap it, but I think it's hard capped to. I'm assuming our belt speed. Yeah, I'm assuming our belt speed is what limits it because obviously we're not going to be able to put out more than what can go onto a belt. But as we change things around over time, we don't really got to worry until the belt starts being able to carry a lot more speed on it. But we'll also be constantly upgrading the extractors too. So kind of just something to think about. I think what we're gonna do is come over here. Nah, that's fine. We might want to. Oh, did our belts recently come faster? Or are we just not doing this fast? I don't know why this isn't fully saturated anymore. It might have just been it took a little bit to catch up, but that's fine. Um let's see. So this is going to be our base shape that we got going on. If you notice the shape that we're working on right now, that like I said, that blueprint shape, it has this blue for the back part of it. And then all we got to do is make some white dye some circles, and then bring that around as well. We'll go ahead and bring it at least a little bit closer to the base. And now it's interesting too, because obviously, like, if we want to keep upgrading this, we need purple circles. So we want to keep producing those, but then also now we're going to need yellow circles for the next one, plus the white circles for our shape. Now, if you look at the speed run, pretty much the instant that you get through like purple circles, at least for like the world record pace, as soon as you get purple circles, you literally switch it right out with. So you get the red circles for the one level, and then you switch out that dye to be with the purple, and then you turn the purple dye into white dye, and then switch that out into the circle creation process. And it's interesting, like how much thought has gone into it just from like watching that person complete it. And it makes me want to definitely do some more kind of just attempts. Like the record right now is, like I said, just under 19 minutes, and I did a run in about 41. So I've definitely got a bit of time to make up if I want to actually, challenge that time. However, I'm getting there because I think the first attempt I did on stream took me about an hour 40. So even though I didn't or not record it, even though I didn't keep track of time on that one, I still shaved an hour off of it. Uh, and so I think at some point too, the hope's gonna be to, actually record and put them up here so that way, one, anyone who's interested can look at it, and two, I have an official submission because I would like to at least, play somewhere. Because right now I think the last time that I did at 481 minutes is like 10th place on the leaderboard. Which, it doesn't sound too bad, except I would be a number 13 on the attempts list. So, you know how it is. Um, so now what we can do is because we can go down and then bring it up into another one. So, 3, 5, 7, and 8. Oh, actually, I just realized I realized I did not have sound recording at all. Well, that's good. I think that's what it was set to default. I had it all just turned off because I've been playing the audio of my PC through my TV or through my monitor. I was like, oh, huh. Anybody watching this is not going to have any background voice. Now, luckily, just like in real life, I never stop talking. So hopefully there's not too many awkward silences over the course of this. That's always my goal, is I want to try and just provide content on that end with. I think that's like the main reason why this has been unedited so far. Like all of this content that I have on YouTube has been unedited because we're gonna need to switch that direction around. But it's like it's all been unedited because just because it's easier. I mean, it is easier to do that, but I feel like, especially with a lot of the content that I genuinely enjoy off of YouTube, seeing people like Northern Lion, someone who I watch a lot of content of, like the most peaceful thing for me is just kind of sitting back and enjoying as somebody talks about their process, and I'm working on kind of sharing what I've learned, interesting stuff like that, and eventually I would like to get better about it and share like anecdotes and all sorts of stuff like that. We need to bring our green up, because I will say, I was like, for right now, I mean, it's not like there's a lot really going on. A lot of the stuff that's been going on for me has pretty much just been content creation wise. Like I mentioned before, I've been doing some I've been doing a bit of work on Twitch. I think I said in the last episode, I streamed a bit of my attempt at, developing a route and learning the speedrun on its own. And then I think I might take some more time to actually stream attempts at the speedrun, just so I can kind of see where I've come from and all that fun stuff. But I'm hoping that the music's not too loud compared to my voice. Been messing around with a lot of audio stuff recently, so we're gonna just see how it goes. But I will say, I think that's an issue that I run into a lot just in general, is I'm a very quiet person. So I know I've had to specifically crank the settings on OBS in order, like the gain, in order for me to be heard well. And I know that creates some issues, hopefully, especially when trying to figure out a balance, because it's like, well, I think I sound okay to me, but it happens to me all the time in real life, where it's like, oh, hey, can you speak up? I can't hear you. And I'm like, I could have sworn I was speaking loud, but I guess not. Yeah, let's go ahead and just bring that down there for right now. That way that can be on the outside. And we'll go ahead and dye some of these circles to be what we want. It's also funny to me because it's like, okay, well, I know I can get all of this stuff done in a matter of, like I said, about 40 minutes. And this entire episode is about 30 minutes, and I finished 2 levels that are in the speed run. I finished only 1 level, and I'm working on the second one that's actually like in the speed run, So it's just kind of interesting to me how much of a difference it is. But, I'm also talking a bit and at least have some good reasons as to why it's not perfectly completed in a fast amount of time, but I still think it's interesting to me. 7, 8. And we put in the dye through the top, and then we come on over here. We do a little something like this. It's also funny too, because it's like you look at it and you're like, yeah, for the speedrun, since you are going quick, you are really not worried about general aesthetics. And so you just create all sorts of just nice and fun spaghetti creatures that you normally wouldn't want to make when you're playing the game, just because of your own sanity, I guess. At least I know I personally try not to. I like things looking at least kind of okay. But I can't tell you how sloppy things end up looking. Because you'll just like copy and paste a bunch in a row, and it's like, this stuff is fine because everything has a defined space. But once you start getting into empty spaces, you have to figure out like how you're going to place it and make sure that you're doing it again as quick as possible. Here, so we just push you through there. And so we need circles to be on the left side. We'll go ahead and put you through there. And then we can just connect you on up. Now, for granted, again, I know that my issue's probably going to run into if I need to expand this outwards at all. We're not going to be able to. Ooh, actually, maybe I should be careful about that because this is something that we're going to actually be using for a while. So let's go ahead and let's bring this on over here. We'll go ahead and do one of these. And that makes it a little bit easier on us as well. Now we do that and that. And we can go. It's supposed to be like that. And now we'll be able to build this out a little bit like that. And we can just keep going down pretty much however long that we want. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of quickly finish this up before the end of the episode, but kind of crazy how sometimes this, like an episode can just go by so fast. Like I said, I mean, especially like the speed run that I did earlier, again, 40 minutes, and it's like, oh, cool. In half an hour, I completed one task. And this is where we're at, so pacing is definitely different depending upon what you're doing, as you obviously would assume. But once we get this, we'll actually kind of make our lives a lot easier. So what that's going to mean for us is we'll go ahead and stop with that. Go ahead and actually swap this out. I don't think we can really go wrong with having circles delivered to the center, at least while we're kind of building stuff up. That's going to be running itself. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and, or we're going to need to increase this at some point, but I think that's a good place to call the episode for today. So hopefully you enjoyed the content. If you did, leave a like down below. Don't forget to subscribe to see when I release content in the future. Leave any comments if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to share, and thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode.